April 6, 1917. Sergeant Sanders wakes up Lance Corporal Blake and his partner Schofield. Supplies at the camp are running low, so the soldiers are often starving. They have to make do with bland bread. Leave has been cancelled because there is news about the German Empire retreating. When Sergeant Sanders mentions that the general is here, the guys realize it's serious. General Aaron Moore knows that Blake has a brother, Joseph, a lieutenant in the 2nd Battalion of the Yorkshire Regiment. And he is still alive. High Command urgently needs the corporal's help, since they are excellent at reading maps. Blake and Schofield must reach the 2nd Battalion as soon as possible. The area was believed to be occupied by Germans, but the general says it was a strategic retreat. That battalion is under Colonel Mackenzie, who sent a report yesterday saying he intends to attack the retreating Germans. The colonel believes he made the enemy flee, but the general knows this is a mistake. The Yorkshire Regiment is scheduled to begin the assault at dawn tomorrow, and they clearly have no idea what awaits them. There is no communication with them, all the telephone lines have been cut. That's why the Lance Corporals must deliver the general's order to cancel the attack before dawn. Otherwise it will be a massacre, costing the lives of 1,600 men. Blake and Schofield are equipped with everything they need. If intelligence is accurate, they won't encounter any resistance, which is why they're being sent alone, without backup. The general wishes them good luck. Blake is ready to carry out the order without hesitation, especially since his brother's life is at stake, while Schofield suggests they think everything through carefully. A veteran of the Somme, Schofield knows how cunning the enemy can be and suspects the Germans may not have actually retreated. It could be a diversion. But Blake doesn't want to wait and refuses to listen to his partner's reasonable arguments, continuing to push forward with unwavering determination. Many fellow soldiers urge the boys to stop, calling them idiots. After all, they're heading straight for the front line. But even that doesn't stop Blake or make him reconsider the route. Schofield realizes this and stops trying to talk him out of it. The Lance Corporals show Lieutenant Leslie the general's letter with the order to let them pass. Leslie is puzzled. The front line lies ahead. Blake explains that the Germans have retreated, but the lieutenant insists it's a trap. Still, he cannot disobey a direct order from the general. Given the shortest route, the guys prepare to move out. If they're shot, backup won't be able to reach them until nightfall. Lieutenant Leslie skeptically wishes them luck, and the guys crawl out of the trench. As the senior of the two, Schofield takes the lead. They try to move cautiously when suddenly Schofield cuts his palm on barbed wire. But he doesn't make a sound, and they keep going. Hearing airplanes overhead, the soldiers quickly duck, only to realize afterward that it wasn't the enemy. There's no time to waste, so they keep moving forward, through mud and dead bodies. The front line is right ahead. Finding no one, the guys think the Germans really did leave. Seizing the moment, Schofield rinses the wound on his palm while Blake stands guard with his rifle ready. It's clear the Germans left very recently. After bandaging the hand, Schofield and Blake conduct a reconnaissance. Reaching a dead end, the guys decide to go around underground. This is where the enemy's camp was located. The trenches are well fortified, which makes it odd that they were abandoned so easily. While looking for canned food, Schofield notices a tripwire and tells his partner not to move. But a rat crawls by and triggers the grenade. The underground shelter begins to collapse. Digging Schofield out from the pile of rubble, Blake helps him to his feet, and they run together before the structure fully caves in. Because of dust clogging his eyes, Schofield can't see, so Blake leads him. Luckily they manage to escape, but who knows what other traps lie ahead. Schofield rinses his eyes with water from his canteen. He believes this mission is a mistake, but there's no turning back, so the guys stick to the plan. The Germans have carefully destroyed all their equipment so the enemy gains nothing. To ease the tension of the journey, Blake distracts Schofield with funny stories. Seeing friendly aircraft in the sky, they realize it's the reconnaissance returning. Schofield thanks Blake for saving him and says he deserves a medal. Schofield once had a medal too for the Somme, but traded it to a Frenchman for a bottle of wine. Blake says that was a foolish thing to do. Schofield argues it was just a piece of metal. Maybe his family would be proud, but Schofield still doesn't like going home. The thought that every return might be the last is unbearable for him. The soldiers reach an abandoned farm. Seeing trees chopped down by the Germans, Blake recalls that his mother had a big garden. He and his brother Joseph used to harvest fruit from the trees. While Schofield explores one of the deserted houses, Blake keeps watch outside, then follows him in. Schofield has a bad feeling. Seeing a cow and fresh milk in a bucket, he fills his canteen with it. Suddenly planes appear in the sky, an aerial dogfight. The British shoot down a German plane, and it crashes right into the farm. The guys barely manage to jump out of the way. Despite everything, they pull the pilot out of the wreckage. Schofield suggests finishing the enemy off right then and there, but Blake refuses and begins administering first aid to the German. While Schofield goes to fetch water, the pilot stabs Blake with a knife. Reacting instantly, Schofield shoots the enemy dead. Blake's wound is deep, but Schofield is determined to carry his partner to the field hospital. However, every movement brings Blake unbearable pain, and he begs Schofield to leave him there. Of course, Schofield has no intention of abandoning his partner and desperately tries to do something, but it quickly becomes clear that it's over for Blake. He asks Schofield to reach the 2nd Battalion and stop the assault. Blake and his brother Joseph look very much alike, so Schofield will recognize him right away. Realizing his friend is dying, Schofield just holds him. Blake is terrified to die, but at least he's not alone. Schofield promises to write to Blake's mother and tell her how much he loved her. Blake dies in Schofield's arms. There's no time to grieve, so the young man takes the general's order from his pocket, along with his ring and dog tag, and begins dragging the body away, just as more soldiers arrive. They are friendly, part of a passing British unit. They help Schofield carry the body. Schofield briefly explains why he and his fallen comrade are there. Captain Smith explains they saw the smoke from the burning plane and offers to give Schofield a ride. He likely won't make it by dawn on foot anyway. Captain Smith also offers his condolences regarding Schofield's friend and tells him not to dwell on it. There's little space in the trucks, but the soldiers gladly squeeze together to make room for Schofield. At least now he's not alone. On the way, the soldiers swap stories while Schofield remains silent, lost in thought. Suddenly the truck gets stuck, and the men try to push it out. Knowing he must make it in time, Schofield puts in twice the effort, and eventually they manage to get it moving together. Some soldiers joke that the driver should stick to smoother roads. Everyone climbs back into the truck, and it moves again. Many are curious where Schofield is headed. He replies that he must stop the 2nd Battalion's assault because they are walking into an ambush. Everyone is surprised that only 2 men were sent for such a mission. The truck stops at a river, the bridge has collapsed, so they'll have to take a detour, and Schofield decides to continue on foot. The soldiers wish him luck, and so does Captain Smith, who also advises Schofield to speak to Colonel Mackenzie in front of witnesses. Mackenzie is the kind who craves battle and might even ignore a direct order from the general. Schofield crosses the river on the remains of the bridge when suddenly he comes under fire. He dodges bullets and takes cover under the bridge, then begins sprinting in bursts with his rifle at the ready, exchanging fire with the enemy as he goes. Schofield manages to enter a building where the sniper is hiding. They clash on the 2nd floor and shoot at each other simultaneously. The bullet ricochets off Schofield's helmet, and he loses consciousness. It's deep into the night when he finally comes to. The sniper wasn't so lucky, he's dead. Explosions flare in the distance ahead. Leaving the building, Schofield once again comes under fire from a small German unit and breaks into a sprint, ducking and diving behind the ruins. Everything around is bathed in the light of flares and flames. Schofield pushes on through the rubble when suddenly a German gunman emerges from the smoke, and a deadly chase ensues. Taking refuge in the nearest building, Schofield stumbles upon a frightened girl, a Frenchwoman. Despite the language barrier, Schofield manages to convey that he's not the enemy. In response, the girl tends to his wounds. At one point, the cry of a baby is heard. Schofield gives the girl all his limited food supplies, including milk, for the infant. It's clear the child is not hers, so she cannot breastfeed. Schofield can't afford a long rest, he has a mission, so despite his injuries and the girl's pleas to stay, he leaves. Almost immediately, Schofield runs into a German unit and quietly grabs one of the enemy soldiers. After ending his life, Schofield runs, with bullets flying after him. But he doesn't stop or look back. To escape pursuit, he jumps into the river. But the current is too strong, and Schofield can't swim out. Exhausted, he clings to a branch, and only at dawn does he find the strength to reach the shore. Overwhelmed, Schofield drops to his knees and begins to cry. Has he arrived too late? Knowing this is his last chance, Schofield gets to his feet and heads into the forest, where he finds the sapper company of the 2nd Yorkshire Regiment in full combat readiness. They are forming the final line of defense, but Schofield is too weak to comprehend what's happening. The soldiers don't understand who Schofield is or what he's doing there, and assume he's shell-shocked. But when the young man hears that this is indeed the 2nd Yorkshire Regiment, he gets a second wind and begins searching the overcrowded trenches for Colonel Mackenzie. All the soldiers are in position, time is running out. The first explosions are already echoing, but Schofield pushes on with determination, ignoring everything around him as he continues looking for Colonel Mackenzie. It turns out the colonel is currently in the command trench, and they tell him to wait until the first wave has gone through, but Schofield can't afford to wait. The battalion launches the attack, and Schofield runs straight across the battlefield, parallel to the British trenches. Soldiers try to stop him, but there's no force that could make him halt at this moment. Reaching the command trench, Schofield tells Colonel Mackenzie the assault must be stopped immediately. It's a direct order from the general. But Mackenzie refuses, unable to understand why they should retreat when victory is just 50 yards away. Schofield explains that it's actually a trap, the Germans planned it months ago. Mackenzie reluctantly reads the letter and orders the assault to be halted. But the colonel is still certain that by tomorrow morning a new order will come, to attack again. This war, he says, will be fought to the last man. Schofield has fulfilled his duty, but he hasn't yet kept the promise he made to his fallen comrade. There is still hope that Joseph Blake, Tom Blake's brother, is alive, and Schofield begins searching for him among the soldiers and the wounded. Seeing a young man who looks strikingly like Tom, Schofield immediately knows who he is. Thankfully, Joseph is unharmed. When he hears that Schofield is from the 8th Regiment, Joseph assumes his brother is there too and smiles. But Schofield, with sorrow on his face, hands him Tom's dog tag and ring, and asks for permission to write their mother a letter to tell her of Tom's heroism. Joseph gives his permission and thanks Schofield. In the final scene, we see the young man sit down beneath a nearby tree and look at the photographs of his family.